Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today at Certified On-Site RV Service. Today we're going to go over our Sealtech system and a Sealtech test on a 2024 Class C motorhome. What we have here are the components that we're going to perform the test with, but before I get into these components real quick and do a brief overview, I'm going to explain to you what a Sealtech does and why it's important to have it performed on your RV annually. The Sealtech system is a special system and it puts pressure inside of the vehicle. Once we pressurize the inside of the vehicle, we can simply go around to the outside of the vehicle and just using simple soapy water, because of the positive pressure, we'll be able to determine if there's any leaks or possible leaks in the vehicle. Any air that comes out of a location resulting in bubbly water or bubbles will indicate a possible entry for water to get into our RV. So in other words, we're checking for leaks inside the recreational vehicle. Everybody knows our RVs live and die by water getting inside of them and getting into the roofs and getting into the seams and seam failure and all these scary things that are extremely, extremely difficult to detect. Even with regular maintenance and roof inspections, each year we look at RVs and we do a thorough inspection of the roofs that come in for winterization, and there's always a possibility that something that it's just starting in the fall, as far as a leak goes, won't be picked up by us. Lap sealant looks good, the seals look good, the silicone looks good, all the components and pieces look like they're in place and nothing looks out of sorts. We don't see any waviness or any wrinkles or any of the common things we look for in a roof that's leaking and water damage. And even sometimes using thermal imagers and moisture meters, we don't catch everything. So this is just another tool in the arsenal to kind of verify and make sure that we don't have anything going on or the potential for anything going on of a leak. So without any more delay, I'm going to explain to you these components. I'm going to show you exactly how we install them and how they're used and what we're looking for throughout the Class C RV. First, we have our main leak test unit here. On the leak test unit, we have a gauge. The gauge is measuring inches of water column. The inches of water column is going to be set between 30 and 0.30 and 0.40, and that'll give us good positive pressure inside the RV. Once we close everything up, we create that pressure inside the RV, and we can go to the outside with our suffocant and start spraying the outside of the unit systematically to look for bubbles, which would indicate possible leaks. And I do say possible. We'll get to more later on about what leaks are acceptable, because there are. We have the adjustable turnbuckles here. We have a sealing duct adapter here. We've got our blue tube. It's our intake duct with our stainless steel collars, and all of these devices connect to a sealing vent inside of your RV. And that's how we're drawing air into the RV to create that positive pressure. So we're going to go ahead and set this equipment up, get it installed, and we'll come back and we'll show you another quick video on what it looks like while it's all set up. We'll try to get some pictures in between as we're setting it up, just for your FYI. Okay, we've closed all the windows and all the vents. We've opened the slide rooms up to their full open position. We have the Sealtech running inside of the RV. And we are going to get a lift over here and start from the roof and work our way down. We have our soapy water solution right here, and we're going to start on the roof. And as I already described, we've already got the Sealtech unit running inside. And we're just going to come through and check all the various components and see what we have, or if we have any leaks on this new Class C. So if you come right over here and take a look, as we apply the soapy water, we're checking all the seams. We're looking for bubbles.
Now that we've got that on there, we'll just go around and we'll look for any place where we got bubbles coming through that would indicate the possibility of a leak. I'm also going to check the 14 by 14 air conditioner gaskets that seal the upper unit to the lower plenum, and make sure that we're not getting any bubbles there at the bottom of that foam gasket, because that's where water would drain in when it rained. And we're looking good. So far in this unit, we're not seeing too much. We're gonna go back around and do a quick inspection. We'll take a quick pause and finish out the last couple of components. And we'll come back and let you know if we found anything that was leaking on this new roof. All right, so what Sean's doing is checking all the seams all the way up and down on the RV, looking for bubbles. Okay, so here would be an example of where water is getting through. Right up here on the top where the cab comes together. We're getting air right through there. There's a gasket right there. So it's not a huge surprise that we're getting some air out of there. I'm gonna move my hand out of the way so it'll focus. We can address that before it leaves today. So some of the spots we aren't as concerned with is an area where it's pitching away and draining down. Our biggest concern here, of course, is traveling down the road during rain, just because it's pitched away. Clearly, rainwater is going to be forced under the cap over the windshield, obviously. And once it hits the windshield at 70 miles an hour, you know where it's gonna go. I don't have to tell you guys. It's gonna go right up over the top of the roof. And Sean, spray that spot for me again, please. And once that happens, where those bubbles are coming out, that rainwater is gonna get forced right down into there. So in my opinion, the RV sitting static, probably less of an issue than when it's raining. We're gonna take a quick pause here because we are already coming up with a couple other spots that we're gonna show you in a second. The slide room, we can see right here on the corner that we got some air coming out right here where the seal let go at the very corner. So from inside the RV, we have our slide room. Our slide room is open, and air is coming down this channel and it's escaping down into here. Again, another one of the situations where we'll touch it up, but because of its location, as long as it's not getting into the floor itself here and rotting the floor, a small amount may or may not indicate that we have water actually coming inside. But we're gonna do what we gotta do to make sure that's sealed. Even though there's clearly sealant on it, there's a small gap right there. Good. All right, let's check the shower. All right, Sean, do me a favor. We're just going to show the customers really quick. Shoot me the shower door itself. And we know that the shower door can leak because of the way it's designed, and it wouldn't be surprising to get bubbles right around this area where this shower door opened up, just because the hoses go straight through. And we have at the bottom of a light here, let's see if I can get in a little bit better, marker light. There's a drain at the bottom of the marker light which allows water to drain out. So if we were to spray soapy water up under here, we would definitely get bubbles. And as you see, the manufacturer put sealant from the bottom left-hand corner across the top to the bottom right-hand corner, but they didn't put any under the light, just so it can drain. So that would be another one of those indications where, or one of those situations where, you know, it indicates a leak, but it's not something that we need to be concerned about. So Sean sprayed the flap here itself, and he's getting some bubbles. And so what we need to remember, guys, on our slide seal wiper seals, that's normal. The wiper seals, guys, they're there to keep some water out, obviously, but mostly they're there to keep air and dust out. So that's, again, not a concern. Our concern would be is if we had this rail leaking, or these seams, or something up at the roof line up top leaking right up there. So we would want to spray and check all that really well. So this is the floor line right here, and everything from this point down, with the exception of this compartment that comes down below the floor line, we shouldn't really see too much down in this area. But what we are seeing is we're seeing a leak here, and we're seeing a leak here, where the floor line comes together, and there's a transition between the wall and the lower fender here. So the opportunity for water to get in there. Here's another one of those lights we were talking about. Again, we're not going to panic on that. Nothing to worry about there. Oh my goodness, we have a window that's got all kinds of bubbles and it's leaking. No, it's not. It's a frameless window, and there's a gasket behind here, and this window is a jalousie window, so it pops out. So what you're seeing is us just forcing the air out through where this jalousie window pops open. Again, if we're going down the road and we're getting water inside, then it means we've got a bad, basically a bulb seal, all right, or gasket behind there. But when we're getting, when we're forcing the air from the inside out, it's probably not going to be a concern. So that's one of the things I wanted to point out. This is a frame window. This window here has a vent here at the bottom. You guys get a second, take a walk around your RVs and just verify that these vents don't have plugs, little plastic plugs in them. Okay, and also verify that they're clean and open, that there's not a bunch of debris and mud stuck in there. Because when it rains, the rain hits here, collects in here, and then it drains out here. Also make sure these drains are at the bottom. So in other words, if you were to step back and you said, oh gee, these drains that are supposed to be down here are up there, that indicates that, that the window was installed incorrectly. All right, what else do we see? What's that? And got something going on right there too. And looks like we got some bubbles right there too. So the Sealtech rail is allowing air to travel from down here to down here. So if it can, depending on the orientation of the vehicle, water can come down, get in, and travel all the way to the inside floor of the RV. That's a complaint and an issue that we see often. All right, it's getting in there, it's coming down, water's getting through, traveling down this channel. It's a little L lip that the Sealtech rack mounts. That's how it mounts. It's got those screws there. It's a good system. It's just that needed to be touched up. A little bit of sealant. The front corner, this particular unit has a little plastic radius corners, and when we look down, we see that that's leaking. But then we have entire seam failure all the way down. And if you look carefully, you can see the very large space from the very top all the way down. Okay, so that's going to need to be addressed. That needs to be corrected. That's no good at all. We will be removing that entire corner termination, or corner molding, if you will, depending on who you talk to. But this aluminum molding will be removed. We'll use a die-core seam seal system. We'll follow their instructions, and we'll probably have a video on that too. Okay, it's a seam tape that goes down prior to reinstalling this molding. We highly recommend it. It's a great product. We'll do another video on that later on, but yeah, that's water's getting in here. End of story. I know it. We've been doing this long enough. That rear wall is going to leak. That water is going to end up inside the wall, and it's going to end up at that floor line that I talked about earlier. And again, guys, your floor line of your RV is here. So inside your RV, that's the floor line. Okay. So the water's going to come down. It's going to end up in the floor down in this corner, and it's going to rot. Okay. Real simple. Do it yourself. You got bubbles there. I'll tell you exactly why. If you pay attention and you look at that screw and focus on that screw, watch what happens. The screw's loose. Screwed back. Needs to go down a little bit. And we're gonna pull that a little bit tighter without denting the door, the access door for the furnace. And that's gonna bring that a little bit tighter, and that's gonna deal with that situation. Pop that back open again. I'm gonna come around that side. I do a little bit of a better job sealing right there. At the bottom, nothing major. Do a little bit of a better job sealing. Otherwise, they did an excellent job, because usually they don't put any sealant back here behind this. All right, and behind this little L bracket right here, the reinforcement fastener, but right here, it's hollow right into the RV. And if you don't seal behind there, the water just comes right down, and it does get back there. So good job, whoever was in charge of making sure this one was installed right at the factory level. Okay, sweet, sweet, sweet. So again, we have this little plastic radius gap up in the corner, and we have there's some bubbles there. We're gonna look at that, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the way the roof was built and engineered, that cap is an integral part of making sure, protecting the corner and making sure water doesn't get in at a problem area that a lot of RVs have. So because it's at the very end of where the sealant is, where you can see it, we're gonna touch up some sealant. We may pull that cap just to inspect behind there to make sure everything's as good as it can be. We may use the seam seal system on that when we pop it and take a look at it. But a little bit of air coming through and bubbles being made at that location may or may not be indicative of an issue. My bigger concern was on that vertical molding trim. And one more quick note I'll mention is we did have some bubbles on the vertical trim, but those were at this insert trim, and this insert trim is just a screw cover, and because this RV is new, and I'm not going to ruin it by doing this because it's still flexible, as you see, those are all the screws that hold that molding in. And then we have an insert trim that covers the screws. So what I'm seeing here, for example, is probably not a screw leaking. Let's find out. No, it's not a screw leaking. Sean, spread those screws for me real quick. I'm just going to show the customers what I'm talking about. Yeah, so those screws are not leaking. Okay, what we are seeing is we're seeing the air that's being forced from that top corner radius cap, forcing it down behind this insert trim, and that's what we were seeing down here. So just so you guys know, we're over here at the entry door, and our entry door is pushing so much air through it we can't even get bubbles to make. So what's going on, huh? Nothing's leaking per se. What's really happening is just exactly this. I'm going to kind of see if I can show you guys. I want you to imagine right here where the door opens and closes, right here. All right, we got a seal right here. We have a DOT lock right here. All right, and it just simply means that it's designed for automotive use. So you know, nobody bumps up against it and opens up going down the road and whatnot. So when we close this, we make sure it's closed. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on audio. There's a lot of air coming out of there. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not on the mic. There's so much air that I can just feel it all the way down to the bottom. What's going on? What's happening? It's nothing. We're just gonna have to adjust the door a little bit. And if I just push on the door like this, oh look, the noise goes away. Okay, so no more leak, and I let it go, leak. All right, so you guys see that 32nd of an inch or 16th of an inch wiggle right there. Guys, it needs a door adjustment. Left alone, yes. Same thing as before. The water will travel in. The water's gonna travel in, it's gonna travel down here. Hopefully it goes right outside, but that's not really what's going to happen. The water is actually going to end up in here. We step on this threshold coming in and out of the RV all the time, and we'll certainly end up separating this threshold from the frame. We'll get a little crack right there. It won't be anything that's going to hurt anything. It's just going to separate. We're never really going to notice it, but it's going to let water get in. And the water's going to get in onto this floor of this step well, and it's gonna, if it's steel, it's going to rot it out, and it is. It's going to rot it out. And we're going to have water in there, and we'll be cutting that out. We just did that job recently where we had to replace that because of water getting in through the ears, and it was actually a lot more in depth than we expected it to be. It took a little bit of doing to get that, you know, all cut out and repaired. So yeah, we're gonna want to get that. We want to get that adjusted so that the door closes all the way when we close it, and it's a little bit tighter. All right. We also don't want rainwater inside either. We're gonna do a quick look at our awning. Here's our awning. It's partially open. We have our LED lights coming in here, and we can see we've got a little bit of a leak right in this area. So we want to make sure that we touch that up and pop that bubble real quick. And I'm going to take this little cover off here. This little cover hides, little plastic cover, it hides where our wiring comes up and goes back through. And we're just going to show you that on this unit, usually they put the hole right here. They put it just over here instead for the wiring. So this is the entry point for LED awning lights and awning motor. The awning motor is mounted at the head of the awning over here. That's the wiring that goes in the sidewall. So as we can see, we got a leak there, and we'll touch that up. Very, most always. It's typically found there often. So we're gonna take care of that today. Okay, we're gonna continue on. We're almost worked our way to the front of the RV and back around the other side. Hey guys, remember the beginning of the video when we were talking about the cab and water getting down in front? On this side, we have no air leak at all. So no water. Why? Because of that silicone right there. All right, so whoever was working on the passenger side gets a cookie. Whoever was installing everything on the driver's side has to has indoor detention during recess today. Okay, so just to recap again, this area over here, right in the very corner, no sealant, we're getting bubbles. Right there in the very corner. We tried, it looked like they were trying to, but they either pushed away or they really missed. Okay, so we'll get that taken care of. Looked like it was coming from up higher. Yeah, a little bit higher on the right. There. See right there on the corner as it runs down. There. See the bubble producing? See it right there. Yep. It is a little bit higher, and then what's happening is, so is it doing the same thing over there? Is that what, oh yeah, there it is. Yep. And let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's producing at the very oops, sorry guys. At the very corner. That's where, okay, so the very corner then is running down.
We've changed out what, 3 of these so far?
Yeah. Okay, so guys, this window is an issue. Let's talk about the clearance light real quick. All right, so this clearance light is a little round one, the little gasket clips in, and that one's leaking. So we probably want to get behind there and make sure that we can put some sort of a silicone plug. Just a little, a little bit of silicone, push it in there, push everything back together, make sure that that gasket is not leaking. A little quick note about, in the gasket, what I'm talking about is, you see the orange clearance light, the little black ring is a little gasket that the clearance light pops into, and then it all presses into the molded, light holder. And those dry out. They dry out from sunlight. They get brittle, they crack, and they leak. We don't want any water up inside the cab, okay? Class C's and cabs leaking are a thing historically, and we don't want that thing, happening to our Class C. So we're gonna make sure that we do everything we can to keep anything out of water out of that cab over. Okay, cab over replacements and repairs run into the tens of thousands. All right, so as expected, the chassis end of this is looking good. Very few, if any, issues to ever see. Only thing that we'll note is we're seeing a little bit of an air leak right here where and I can feel it here versus see it so much. Right where the side mirror is, and we're seeing that on both sides. So it may just drain straight down and drain out of the bottom of the door, which is a good possibility. A quick phone call over to the fellas that make this one over at Ford should be able to answer our questions as far as that goes, and we'll just make sure that there's nothing to be concerned about. And if we need to do something with it, we'll see what they have to say as far as the solution goes. Thank you very much for taking the time to view our video on our walk around on this 2024 Class C and the Sealtech system. We're certified on-site RV service and Bolt Notch RV located in Bolton, Connecticut. Please see us online at certifiedonsiterv.com, where you can look at other links and other videos. If you like what you saw here, please subscribe. We appreciate the support. The Sealtech system is a great tool in diagnostics. It's a tool in an arsenal of many tools that we use to determine whether or not RVs are leaking or the possibility of leaks. And I want everybody to bear in mind that not every point of air escape that we saw today is indicative of any sort of a catastrophic failure, but there were definitely some notable concerns that we talked about in the video. Thanks again, appreciate you. Have a great day.